everyone. This is Alex here from Until the Next Tee, and welcome to my little podcast called TeeBox Chatter. Joining me today from PING Canada is Martin Neal, and he is a sales representative for PING Golf, PING Apparel for the eastern region of Ontario. Martin, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Oh, doing great. It'd be better if I was out on a golf course right now and we weren't in lockdown, but lo and behold, here we are.
That is very true. Very, very true.
So again, thank you so much. And I figure I might as well just jump right into this.
Sure.
So 2021 has brought a new range of products from Ping. And seating for the tour began when? Last year in 2020?
Probably December, I think. I wouldn't be 100% sure on that, but it should be around that kind of early December mark that we started to see it out on tour and had some really cool early success, and had a win with Terrell Hatton on his first event with it. So it's kind of building on the success we've had with G410 on tour. So far so good.
Very nice, and that's the one thing that I've noticed through some media releases and that from Ping. You know what? It's just a driver, this G425, or just the company in general. All it seems to do is win. I mean, you look at Joaquin Niemann over in Hawaii with 2 second-place finishes. Of course, Harris English won the Century Tour Tournament of Champions. And it's just been the momentum that you guys have had has just carried on from 2020 to the new calendar year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of that stems from during that design process, sacrifice. So when we bring out a new product to the tour and then obviously to the marketplace, it has to outperform the prettiest driver in every way. So whether that's MOI, speed, distance, spin rates, all those parameters that we put in place to bring out that new product, it has to beat every single category. So we just kind of build on a solid foundation we have with our driver program to just kind of give you some definite gains in distance, MOI numbers, spin numbers. So although the driver kind of looks the same from year to year, as you'll see when we take you through this year's product line, especially with the driver and the fairways and the hybrids, you're going to see we've just kind of built on that foundation we have and improved on it quite substantially. In my 25 years of doing this is probably one of the bigger jumps in technologies we've seen in the last few years. So we're pretty excited about it.
So, and I mean, coming from a company like Ping, that says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so before we really get into the nitty gritty of the G425 line today, I just want to point out, we're both here in Canada. And you look at the roster of Ping, and you know what? There's a little bit of CanCon going on there with a few golfers from the PGA Tour. Of course, there's Brooke Henderson on the LPGA, and she just signed a multi-year extension, correct?
Yep. So we have her. I don't know the details off it, but we do have her for the next few. But yeah, the Canadian contingent we have out there is pretty good, with obviously Corey and Mac, and obviously Brooke on the ladies' side of things. So it's an exciting time to be a Canadian golfer for sure, especially when you're watching TV on the weekend and you get to see some homegrown talent to cheer from. It's pretty awesome.
And as a Canadian, I mean, it just says so much about our developmental programs here in Canada through Golf Canada and Golf Ontario and all the other provincial organizations.
Yeah, they do such a fantastic job. So yeah, they are a very well run organization and definitely develop talent very, very well, as we're seeing now. So
excellent. Okay, so the G425 line. I think when we talk about clubs that people want to look at, it's always the big dog. It's always the driver. So can we talk about the G425 driver and what we're looking at in particular with that model this year?
Yeah, for sure. I think probably the biggest thing is it's, again, what I said earlier, it's kind of based upon the foundation we've had from G400 Max to G410 Plus, what we were able to do in this driver. Some of the differences being that we've obviously lowered the center of gravity further back and away from the face, which is going to create a little higher launch for us, a little lower spin. Face has basically stayed the same from a 410 to a 425. So we do still use our TI9S Plus face. Just helps us keep those ball speeds at a level that are very, very high, and also super consistent across the club face as well. So it does come in 3 different models as well. So it comes in the new G425 Max, which when we start to look at MOI numbers in the Max, and these is where some of the impressive gains we've had. So from the past G410 to this driver, when you move that CG shifter to help control ball flight in the driver, when you move it into the fade setting, the driver actually gets about 16% higher MOI when the driver's in that fade setting. In the draw setting, it's actually gained us 20% higher MOI. And these numbers are well above what they were in G425. And basically what we have in that Max driver is we have a driver that pushes the 10,000 MOI point ceiling. So it's by far the most forgiving driver we've ever made, if not the most forgiving driver out there by far. So
those are amazing numbers. And I mean, you know, distance is one thing, but when you can combine distance and high forgiveness in a product, I mean, it just, you know, it's the best of both worlds, really, when you think about it.
Yeah,
you know,
if you can gain a little bit of speed, it's as we design as a company, it's not necessarily about always hitting the ball further on your good shot, but when you can increase that MOI across that club face and hit one off the toe, and you're afraid to tell all your buddies how far you missed it off the center because you hit it past them, that's kind of what we're going for. We want mishits to go as far as our good ones. So we do a pretty good job of that, and this driver is no different.
Excellent. So there's the Max, there's an LST, and then there's the standard G425 or standard G425.
So there would be the LST head, right, which comes in at a 445 cc, so a little bit smaller, little less spin, right? So it spins roughly about 200 RPMs less than what a G410 LST did. Spins about 500 to 700 RPMs less than the 425 Max. So smaller look, a little less spin, little tiny bit less forgiving, but still in the world of drivers, still very forgiving. So then we would go into the Max head after that, which would be formerly known as the Plus head in the G425 line. The biggest change there is basically the head size. So last year when it was 445, the Max head is now 460, which also helps us get to that 10,000 MOI point threshold, along with the other things we discussed with the CG weight moving towards the toe and the heel, gaining basically about 7% higher MOI across all 3 settings. So 16 on the toe, 20 on the heel, but when you average it out, it's about 7 points higher across the board MOI. And then the third model is a continuation of that SF Tech model, that straight flight technology we have. Basically, the difference there is the tungsten weight is actually fixed towards the heel side of the driver, which over from a G400 to this driver is actually about 25 yards of draw bias, which is about 10 more than we got off the SFT. So it is the most anti-slice driver you will ever touch.
Ooh, that sounds like it's right up my kind of alley. Very nice. And I mean, and the reality here is, no matter what head you have from PING in these G425 drivers, chances are a golfer looking for a new driver this year can't go very wrong.
No, exactly, right? We know we had a good product in G410, and we are 100% confident we've improved on that. So there's definitely whatever the golfer needs, we can probably fit you for it. Whether you need a little bit of ball flight correction or you need a lot of ball flight correction, we probably have a driver we can fit you into quite effectively. So.
Very nice. So now we're going to move on to the littler sibling in the group here. We're going to talk about the fairway woods. So what's going on this year with the G425?
Yes, there's a couple of cool things that we'll talk about in different technologies in the fairway wood. First being Spinsistency, which is kind of a word we have created for this particular golf club, and also the face wrap technology. But one of the things golfers are going to notice most when they put it on the ground is the fact that there is no turbulators no longer on the fairway wood. So we did remove that. We've always been upfront that turbulators in a driver do increase club head speed. Because of the face size on a fairway and a hybrid, they don't. They were basically there to make the line look the same, and also for alignment aid. So we did swap that out just from an old, going back to an old traditional kind of 3-dot system on the top of the golf club to help players align that golf club a little bit better. So that's kind of looking at the down position. That's kind of where we're at there. So looks a little different than its predecessor for sure. But the big changes here, let's kind of start with kind of face wrap technology that we have on our golf club.
Okay.
So basically when we're looking at the face wrap technology in the golf club, we still kept our miraging steel face, which is a material that is super, super flexible, but super durable. So we can make it thinner, get a little bit more speed off the club face. So what it actually allows us to do, we gain so much flex in the face that we're actually in the fairway woods. We've actually gained probably about 3.5 yards on the fairway wood just from the gain in the speed that we've had based on that flex face. So it basically allows us to make the face a little thinner. It wraps around the crown and the toe and the sole of the golf club. So kind of if you think of it more visually of being a cap on the golf club, just the weld points at a different place, it allows that whole face to get a lot more flex than what we had in the previous generation where it was just welded on kind of in the traditional way that we would do a face. So a little bit of change there helps us drive up that MOI, obviously helps us gain speed, helps us gain a little bit of distance. So the other kind of cool terminology I mentioned before is spinsistency. So
yes, that word got me on social media. Yeah. The first day it came out, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I think every call I get involves some sort of spinsistency right now, whether that's from a consumer or a customer. But basically, we've just changed the curvature of the face a little bit. So when you look at a normal kind of bulge and roll on a golf club, right, we're dealing with a 12-inch diameter. So basically, what's going to happen on a fairway wood or even a hybrid, you get it low on the face, you're going to get these low launching, high spinning shots. So you get that ballooning effect when you're coming off either the fairway or the tee deck, depending on what you do. So if you hit it low on the face, you're going to get a little bit extra spin, ballooning ball flight, vertical landing is going to get a little steeper, you're going to lose the roll. So knowing that when you hit it low on the face, it's going to come out low anyways, what we've actually done, we've actually changed the shape of that. So at the lower part of the golf club, we've actually taken away some loft so that when it hits low on the face, it still comes out low, but it spins considerably less so that we're still going to see kind of a flattered ball flight out of it. You're not going to get that ballooning effect you would low on the face with the previous generation. So it's going to give us some more carry. So hopefully, if you're hitting a 3-wood off the fairway trying to get to a par 5 and 2 and you catch it that little skinny, hopefully we're going to get that carry. But the one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to land super spinny or super steep. So the ball has a better chance of chasing up to the green, basically, is what we're going to see there. And the reverse is true in the top half. We actually added a little bit of loft on the top just to give the golf club a little bit more spin when it hits. You get in the rough and it hits high in the face. Usually that knocks off so much spin, the ball kind of plummets to the ground a little quick. So by adding a little bit, it adds a little bit of spin to the top of the golf club. Takes away from the bottom, which basically we're trying to equal out the spin across the whole face up and down the golf club so that your basic miss gets closer to your good shot, and that's what we're looking for.
And that's, I mean, again, the engineering over there with Ping is, it's second to nobody, in terms of R&D. And, with this Spinsistency, I can't even say it. I think I got to be lit up. I have a few drinks in me to get it out of my mouth properly. But again, I mean, that's just so advantageous as far as technology and design goes, where, yeah, you know what, the number of golfers out there that strike a golf ball with their fairway woods in particular, low on the face, they're going to, appreciate that help that's going to come from the 425.
100% they are, and that's huge, right? It's huge from just being able to chase up to the green and get a little pitching wedge in your hand or a little chip bump and run 8-iron beside the green versus kind of going back and hitting a 8 or a 9-iron because you missed it so thin on the club face. So we're excited about it for sure. The gains are impressive to say the least, and it's our quest to make that bad shot as good as your good shot.
Now, with the fairway metals or the fairway woods, now do you have two separate models of head, or is there just one straight
Yes.
model? I guess is the way I'm trying to word it.
Yeah, so it's going to run similar to the driver, right? So in the 3 wood specifically, we do have an LS model for some high ball speed players, or even people with very, very steep angles of attack. It's going to spin roughly about 200 RPMs less than the G410 LS Key 3 wood, but 450 less on the low shots off the club face. So you're losing on that golf club almost 500 RPMs when it's hit low on that club face, which is a lot when you talk about having a little bit more carry off a skinny shot 3 wood. It's going to make a difference to people for sure. And then we would move into the max model. So the max model consists of 3 wood, 5 wood, 7 wood, and 9 wood. Ball speed gains on at least the max head for sure. You're going to see about 4.5 yards distance gain from the max head to the plus head in the 410. So you're going to hit it about that half a club further. And then we would move into kind of that straight flight technology again in your fairway woods, which you're going to see that in a 3 wood, 5 wood, and a 7 wood. All that does again, it's gained us another 6 yards of draw bias from the G410 SF Tech. So again, that little bit of help to get players hitting the golf ball a little bit straighter.
Very nice. And now, as far as the hybrids go, what's going on with the G425 hybrids?
Well, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff that you're going to see in that fairway wood, right? So we did remove obviously turbulators again. You are going to see that face wrap technology, that miraging steel material wraps around the entire face. What that's going to do, it's going to give us about 3.5 yards on all the hybrids across the board, from basically 2 all the way down to 7. And also your hybrid is also going to have spinsistency built into the face. So similar to that fairway wood, where we're going to take a little loft away from the bottom to the thin ones, and we're going to add a little bit of loft to the top of the face just to kind of control that spin. Also helps a little bit, especially in fairway woods, as we get into kind of 5, 6, and now that we have a 7, clubs that might get hit a lot skinnier because there's so many more approach. People are using them for more approach clubs than they were in the past. It's going to help with the gapping a little bit. When you get that one a little skinny, you're not going to see the big gaps and change in distances from, say, your 5 hybrid to your 6 hybrid to your 7 hybrid, which is now available from us as well.
I just talking to you about Spinsistency, Martin. It's one of those things where, it's just exciting. It makes me want to go out and try to see what it's like. And I mean, it gives everybody help all over the face, literally.
Yeah, well, and we've all hit that shot, right? We've all hit that skinny heel 3 wood that is a bullet on the ground, and this way, right, it just gets it up in the air. If you're trying to carry a hazard, hopefully it carries it for you. But more than that, it maximizes the miss is what we're trying to do, and it's good in the fairway, and it's really good in the hybrid as well.
Excellent. And moving on now, the clubs that Ping. The market share is unbelievable these days for Ping. I had a brief experience last year with the G410s. I'm a right-handed golfer, but I actually swung the G410s left-handed last year at a little show here in Niagara.
Yep.
And the one thing that I got to say right off the top with that G410 iron was how easy it was to hit from the wrong side.
I've never tried it from the wrong side because I cannot swing right-handed, as I'm a left-handed player. I look like a new golfer, so I don't often try it. But that's good to hear, at least.
So moving on, then, the 425 irons. What's going on with those this year?
Well, for starters, I think you'd hit a lot better right-handed than you would left-handed. That's probably the biggest thing. One of the biggest changes to the golf club is obviously size. Every year we try and make a big golf club kind of visually look a little bit smaller to the player. So this has a very, very, very clean appearance when you look down at it. The blade length looks a tiny bit visually looks a little bit shorter, even though it's not necessarily shorter. It just has such a clean look for a bigger golf club. It is a tiny bit shorter from toe to heel, but a visual, to put it down next to a Plus or G410, you're not going to really see it, but it is a little bit shorter toe to heel. but it still has a higher MOI. We're actually about 3% higher MOI on the golf club, even though we did make it shorter from that toe to heel. The other change we've done, we went with a full multi-material badge in the cavity. That just helps us have 54% more face coverage with that dampening agent for vibration than we were getting in the previous model. So no matter where you hit on the face now, you're going to get that kind of that same feel. The iron still, we've brought back that variable face thickness in the iron to help us deliver higher ball speeds than we were getting in that 410 with better feel. And it still has that hydro pearl finish that we put on most of our kind of iron market, which is the best way to explain that is it's kind of like Rain-X. The water hits it and it disperses the water away faster from the club face. So you can get a little more friction, don't get as many flyers, don't lose as much spin, especially as you get low into the bag at 8-9 wedge, gap wedge sandwich if you're using that in that model.
Oh, very nice. And again, I can't wait for all this to be done road with. So if there's demo days or, or anything like that, I cannot wait to hit these products from PING this year. It's very exciting, especially again. I'm stuck on Spinsistency. Oh, see, I can't. There I go again. I just messed up the wording of that or the enunciation.
You'll get it.
I sure hope so. Then for anyone that wants to know regarding shaft options,
yeah,
I know I'm sort of kind of throwing this on you.
Okay.
What would the shaft options be for say the G425 irons?
So for the G425 iron, what you're going to find in stock options, which are no charge upgrades for us, we're going to have our AWT shaft that we've had around probably since this is the 2.0, so it probably came out in G400, if not G410. But so we got the AWT as a stock option, as a PING option in steel. Our new Alta slate shaft is our graphite shaft available. There's a new Distanza 40 gram soft regular for anybody who needs a little bit help with the weight of the golf club. So you can now get into a graphite senior flex that's super duper light. And then optional stock options at no charge. You obviously have Dynamic Gold. We have Dynamic Gold 105, Dynamic Gold 120, Project X, XLZ, KBS, Modus 105, the new Elevate from True Temper. And then in some cases, I500, G710, that recoil is also available in that golf club at no charge. But on 425 and other models, there is an upcharge for recoil. It's really the only upcharge shaft we offer in our line.
Now, I just want to touch base a little bit here regarding, say, product cycles and PING.
Yep.
If there's one thing that I've always noticed and always respected about PING as a manufacturer is the fact that they don't bring out something every 6 months. They don't bring out something new every year necessarily, but you know that when they do bring something out, a new club to market, you know that it's worth the look.
Yeah.
It's just that honesty and just the honesty and genuine feeling associated with a company like PING.
Yeah, and it goes back to an earlier conversation that we had. When you design something without sacrificing or without losing any performance from the previous model, it does take longer to bring out product for the most part, because we want to make sure that when it gets in consumers' hands, that they do notice a difference, whether that's on TrackMan, whether it's hitting 2 more fairways around than they had, whether it's missing a fairway with low and they still got a lot more out of it than they used to, or they hit a 7-iron with par 3 and they missed the grooves and all their buddies are like, hey, great shot. Like it takes a while to do that. And it's not something you can just come out with quickly. It takes a lot of work and a lot of models and a lot of trial and error and a lot of tweaking and to get to that point where we bring out a product. But the one thing you can guarantee from us is that it is going to perform better than the last model.
Excellent. And just to finish up here, because you're a busy guy and there's lots going on in the golf industry right now. I just want to take the time to actually thank you for stopping by TeeBox Chatter today, Martin.
You are more.
And it's been a real pleasure and honor talking with you about the G425 range here in 2021.
Perfect. I appreciate the time you gave us today, Alex.
Thank you so much. So make sure that you stay safe, you take care, and We'll see you on the next tee.
Will too. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.